it's more like, what do I want to center my attention on right now? So I'm actually going to take a moment and come back to my body in the moment and think about what I want to speak about.
How embodiment specialist of you.
um,
By the way, that's quite a good tool. Very few people just do that
Just be silent.
in a conversation to get back together their thoughts.
Well, you know, when you're speaking in public, and I do a fair amount of that, and one of the best tools is silence.
Yeah.
So, standing still, like one of the best things to do when you start your talk is don't start talking immediately.
So you gather the attention in the room.
So everybody's like, oh, what's going to happen?
Build the suspense.
Yeah. So
that's if you're a tree trunk, you could do that.
Yeah, you gotta be a tree trunk.
So right now, tree trunks. Right now, one of the games I recently worked on is called The Old Ways Must Go. And it uses...
That's a great name.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about how we are in a predictable human cycle right now, right? That if you look at the history of human cultures, the pandemics are usually pretty reliably followed by renaissances. And renaissances are full of paradigm shifts. Oh, Carmen.
We are on board with this.
Yeah. And in order to create space for the new, you have to compost the old somehow. And as a person who...
phrase, compost the old. Oh man.
Yeah. I really love composting. It's such a rich and dynamic process. Do either of you garden?
Yeah, it's the best. And
Yeah.
From stuff that's dying, you're making like juice for living stuff. It's great.
Yeah, you throw it in, you mix it up. When it's going well, it's got that lovely, rich, earthy odor, right? Like, and then it becomes food. And early in my career, I did a lot of work around collaboration, and particularly in like federal government and nonprofits. And one of my mentors taught me this phrase, that collaboration is an unnatural act between non-consenting adults.
Okay, I gotta write some of this down. I'm gonna forget it.
This.
It's not recorded, but and
Write it down.
Yeah, can you say that again? Collaboration
is an unnatural act between non-consenting adults.
That's fantastic.
But what I've really found is that oftentimes we haven't given enough time for people who have come from different backgrounds and experiences to build relationality. We just throw them into a room and we want them to do something. We want them to create something. We want them to fix something without any understanding of where each of them are coming from.
Yep.
And I promise this will wend its way back to the game.
It's great.
And we also get stuck on what went bad, right? And as a person who's spent years working with people with trauma and also resolving my own trauma, piecemeal by piecemeal, one thing we know is that like when you're in the bad, you get stuck there and you get activated and defensive and all of these other things that make it really hard to do the work of moving on, even when everybody knows it's time to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So while I think that that definition of collaboration is really catching, and I'm sure we all have had experiences, especially professionally, of being like, yep, that's what collaboration feels like. It doesn't have to if we give it the time, right? And so much of embodiment is actually about learning how to slow down and give things time. In The Old Ways Must Go, one of the ways we get to, it's a game about collaborating. It's a game about designing new systems out of the wreckage of the old. And the way the game does this is twofold. we have constraints, which are important. If you give people all the possibilities in the world, then we come up with some wonderful brainstormed ideas, but not maybe something functional. And the constraint of tarot cards is really fun. Yeah, I came to tarot through Jungian studies and my communities that I practice with around that. So for me, they're this beautiful image-based way of getting to think without words, right? They're complex pictures that tell story arcs.
Taps
right?
into the intuition.
Yep. It goes right into the intuition.
Yep.
And right now, there are thousands, tens of thousands of different tarot decks out there. Tarot is in an explosion. And all of my friends have probably at least 3 to 5 decks. So I also wanted to give them something they could use their decks for, right? I'm like, you've collected all these pretty pictures. And so the game uses those cards, and it also uses this idea that we can talk about something that's gone wrong without actually talking about it.